All right, welcome back everybody to Rim Grazers podcast. Today it's just gonna be me and Frank again.
Yo.
I'm gonna do a quick little update on what's been going on. So I know I said we were gonna try to shoot for recording Sunday, uploading Monday. So far that hasn't panned out. I didn't think it would. Seems like everybody's pretty busy on the weekends. Even though we all know we had time off, it's usually like our time off to do what we want to do. So it looks like we're going to try sticking to the Monday, record, upload Tuesday. Occasionally we might upload on a Wednesday just due to if we can get it up in time. But yeah, so with that out of the way, we're going to get into some rather, I guess, kind of different topics. We've covered a lot of things that were interesting, but I came up with this one just sitting around the other day. And I was just thinking about like teams who retire numbers, and then I was like, is there a criteria to retire a number? But before I even get into that, I want you to tell everybody what you think about retiring numbers, because I read this already. You guys don't know that, but I read Frank's notes, and I wish I didn't, because I think there's some shock value to what he said, but I don't totally disagree. So I'm gonna let you go first.
So I guess before I start on my opinion on it, I'm not really totally against what they're doing right now. I don't think it's a bad thing. I wouldn't, you know what I mean? So what I believe is I don't think that teams should retire numbers. And because when you think about something and you think about what's up in the rafters right now, it's like division titles, conference titles, and championships, because those things can't be represented on the court. But a number, you could still see that court, or you could still see that number going up and down the court. And I think the best way to honor someone is we're keeping their image alive. Like when Kobe passed away, you saw, murals being put up around Los Angeles and even in other countries, like just beautiful art pieces. So, and that's not hiding his image or hiding him. And I think when you put something up in the rafters, it's kind of a way. I mean, people don't look up there. People are focused on the game, talking to people around them and stuff. So I just feel like the rafters is a place to show your banners, which is fine. But as far as a number, I think that number should still be on the court somewhere. And I think the first thought that I had was, what if you allowed rookies of that draft of that year to wear the player's number that's being retired? So let's say the team's first pick in the first round, wherever that may be, you kind of give them the option, say, hey, do you want to wear, for example, let's say the Lakers, do you want to wear number 24? And if they say no, and then it would go to the following pick. And I don't know, I just feel like if you want to get rid of something, or if you want to hide it, I don't know, let's say Bill Laimbeer or even Dennis Rodman. I mean, those guys were kind of hated. I guess Laimbeer more, but him, if you really want to hide his number and kind of forget him because people didn't like him, you would stop just wearing the number. And I think when you're putting it up in the rafters, that's kind of hiding it in a way. And it's, I just think it would be special to have that number on the court somewhere on a player, still honoring that person and keeping that alive. Because then when you look at that number, it's the first thing you think of is that guy's number. And I guess the case against this, I would say, is what about players that are trash and they want to wear Kobe's number or Jordan's number, something like that. So I could see that. It's wow, you're a trash player and you're wearing this, you don't deserve to wear it. So I mean, I could see both sides. And again, I'm not even against them putting a banner up, but I just think if you want to keep something alive, you show it off and you keep that number jogging up and down that court. So that's where I stand.
So I don't know, I disagree kind of, but to an extent. I think retiring a number shows how good you were for a certain team. If you've done something really special, that's that's why a player is not going to wear your number again, because it means that you've done something wearing that, whereas nobody else is going to. It's, I don't know, I guess it's like an honor to have your number be something that people can't wear. And there's some weird ways around it. So players can wear the number again, assuming they get the okay from the player whose number was retired. So it's never like officially up there, but it's one of those things where players don't ask for the number, at least not too often. You see examples of it sometimes, like LaMarcus Aldridge was traded from, or not traded, he signed with San Antonio and he wore number 12 in Portland, so he wanted to wear 12 again. So he talked with Bruce Bowen, and Bruce Bowen said, yeah, you can wear my number. So Aldridge wears it, but it's also still hanging up in the rafters. So I guess that would kind of go along in the rafters, which goes along with what you're saying.
Yeah.
There's also the way Orlando does it. So Orlando has I don't think they hang it in the rafters, but they do have a like a Magic Hall of Fame thing down there. Okay. So you go in and there's like memorabilia, this and that, and their number is retired in this Hall of Fame. So that's why multiple players have been allowed to wear number 1 for the Magic. So you got Penny Hardaway, he's in there with the number 1. Then you got Tracy McGrady in there with number 1. So I think that kind of solves that problem, which I think does become an issue because when you look at the Celtics, they have so many numbers retired. At this point, it's like, what is there to pick from? And at the rate it's going, like, there are going to be no more numbers for that team to pick. Like, I'm pretty sure, I feel like Rondo's number is probably going to be retired. I think Ray Allen kind of burned that bridge with them. I think the fan base would not be so kind to that, which is strange because I feel like the Celtics organization could make up for it by promoting Ray Allen a little bit more, but we'll see. Kemba Walker, if he does something special with them and plays out his career there, that's another number. I'm going to say that's probably a no-go on that one. But then you got like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, both young guys, could end up being there for a while. Could do something special. Those are going to be 2 more numbers that are just not unavailable. And you get to this weird situation where it's like, well, what number am I going to wear? Yeah. What's funny is now different sports do it differently. So I know, like, I'm pretty sure baseball retires numbers. You can't wear it again.
I think so.
They also have 1 number retired league-wide. Michael Jordan is the closest thing to that with the NBA, since he has the 23 retired with the Miami Heat. Anyway, I'm getting into like all different things. But what I was going to say is NASCAR, what they did was they did what you're talking about. So, like, the driver retires, he helps pick the next young driver coming up. And then it's like, he is making sure like the next dude to get his number is not, like, the ultimate goal is to give it to a guy that's going to be good. They don't want some trash dude driving their number car. And that's the way it's been. The only person that's ever not been the case is Dale Earnhardt, because he died in a car accident and they were not sure how to go about that because it's a very touchy, emotional period. So Kevin Harvick came in and drove the car, which I don't know if you really follow NASCAR. He's a very good driver. Ended up being really good, but he did not take the number 3. He drove his car with the same sponsors, but he did a different paint job and a different number. So he mixed up like the black and white. And then that number was not officially retired, but it wasn't used from 2000 all the way up, or 2001 all the way up until like 2 years ago, where some big NASCAR person, again, I don't really follow it too much,
I don't,
gave it to his grandson, I believe. So he's allowed to drive the number 3 car, and it's the first time it's been on the track in I don't know how long. So that goes along with what you're saying, whereas people were pretty happy to see it on the track again, although they were skeptical about the guy who got the number. He's a pretty talented young kid, but he's not. There's definitely better drivers than him, so it's a little like of a weird thing that he was given a number just because his daddy or whatever is like a big person. Anyway, I'm going way off topic with that because like I don't know too much about, but I'm trying to like connect it to like what your idea of it is.
Yeah.
So there's ways to do it. I think putting a banner up is still cool.
Yeah, I like that.
I think the way the Magic do it, the Hall of Fame thing, is really cool. Mm-hmm. Because if every team had that, one, I would want to go see mine for my team. No doubt about it. Like, the first thing I do when I get there, and they'll probably charge you for it, so, like, it's also a moneymaker, but, like, it'd be worth whatever, $15 to walk through and see, like, oh, this was, like, Vince Carter's headband he wore in, like, game whatever, 7 of the semifinals for Toronto.
Yeah.
Like, that'd be cool. So, I don't know. Just, you put any thoughts on that? But
that's, like, I don't even think like what they're doing. Like, I don't find that to be disrespectful. And I don't even think it's like a bad thing. I just was thinking of like when you put this out there on the rundown, I was like, you know, like I thought about this like from time to time, and like let me just try to formulate something around. I was just thinking, it's just something to throw out there, just something to think about. And I mean, yeah, like I said, all different sports do it different ways, and I can see like how the Magic are doing. It's really nice. I know in football, the Bears and the Vikings, and I think other teams, I mean, they put plaques up in front of the stands for those players, but I think they still retire them. But yeah, I don't know. It's just an idea I was just throwing out there that would maybe promote or honor that player more in a way. Because then I think you kind of get the problem, and I think we saw this season when Kobe passed, is I believe Spencer Dinwiddie said that he wasn't going to wear 8 anymore because of Kobe. And then you have other players who were wearing 8, and Zach LaVine is one of them. And it was like, I don't know if some of those players maybe feel pressured, because then if there is a group of them that say, all right, yeah, we're going to change our number. But then maybe you have some other players that are like, well, I don't really want to change my number. I've been wearing this since college. But then it's like, well, all of you did it, and now I'm kind of like the oddball out. It's like, I don't know. I don't know if they even feel that way, because like, most of them are mature anyway. So, but I don't know. I guess there's other complications to it you can think about. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
it's a weird thing. I get why they do it. I think it's a cool way to honor, but I think there's, like you're saying, there's other ways to do it. Like the Magic have their Hall of Fame. The Lakers, they do statues outside the arena. The statue thing's really cool. I think the Bulls only have the one statue of Michael Jordan at their arena, which is now inside. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Where it can't get destroyed.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess like your point is pretty valid that there's other ways to do it. So maybe so we'll go down criteria if their numbers should be retired, but maybe we could come up also with another way they can honor that person too. That'd be pretty cool. So the first person on the list that I have is Kawhi Leonard. We'll go chronological order instead of the order I have it. So we'll go San Antonio first, since he was there first. He spent how many seasons with that team? I want to say 6 or 7. I want to say 6.
I think so. 6.
Spent 6 seasons with them, one championship. So, I mean, he eventually became the leader of the team, but I feel like that was really kind of after Tim Duncan retired. Didn't really, I mean, I guess if he didn't get hurt in that Golden State series, there's a possibility they could have been in the finals. But yeah, what do you think about San Antonio retiring Kawhi's number?
I mean, I like Kawhi. So, and I think he's done a lot of great things being in the league, and especially coming out of San Diego State as a mid-round pick and just shocking NBA in his like third season, having to guard and go against the Miami Heat in back-to-back seasons and winning a title. I mean, he did a lot of great things for the franchise, and like you said, I don't know if he really became that leader until like, I don't know, I want to say like 15, 16. I mean, that's when he first made his All-Star games. But I mean, I don't know. I guess we'd have to go back and forth and discuss what the criteria would be. I mean, because he did help bring a championship back there. Yeah. And I think more could have happened. I mean, I don't know.
So let's go through some things that's happened there. So he has 2 All-Star appearances. He scored a total of 6,654 points with the team. Has 723 steals, 289 blocks, 924 assists, 2,500 rebounds. He went to 2 NBA finals with them and is finals MVP for the one they won. Shot a career 3-point percentage of 38%. Those kind of things probably don't matter so much. But that's probably like what you're mostly looking at when you're looking at criteria. And you know what, there is impact that probably does not show up in the box score. So like you're saying, he was a critical person to them winning their first championship. So
yeah, I mean, his numbers look excellent across the board. I mean, shooting, 3-point shooting, the points, steals. I mean, just everything is really good. It's just, and when you look at San Antonio greats, I mean, how does he stack up? And I guess you'd have to say, I mean, I'm assuming they retired Duncan's number, so I don't know. I guess, do you put them in the same caliber? And yeah, I don't know. I guess it also kind of gets to a point where, and again, I don't think it's a disrespectful thing, but when a player on the, I guess it, you know what, I'm going to save this for when we get to the Toronto. So you go ahead. I think it matters more there.
Well, so I'll also show you, or I'll tell you this. So games played, he's not in the top 10 for San Antonio. Minutes played, not in top 10. Let's see. Let's try to see where his points are. That's points per game. Points. He is not in top 10 points. LaMarcus Aldridge actually has more points in his San Antonio jersey than Kawhi Leonard. Yeah.
In less seasons.
Mm-hmm.
That's...
Yeah, so, you know, like, as I'm looking at this, I don't even know if he goes in top 10 with anything. Maybe win shares? He's 7th all-time in win shares.
Okay. That's
but
impressive.
Ahead of him is James Silas, Manu Ginobili, George Gervin, Tony Parker, David Robinson, Tim Duncan. Behind him, by 2 points, Sean Elliott. And then you got Avery Johnson, LaMarcus Aldridge. Yeah, this is interesting. Let's see, player efficiency rating. He's ranked 3rd all time. Again, this has its problems. Tim Duncan and Dave Robinson are at the top, but again, numbers are very skewed in that system for centers. What about his points per game?
That's what I think. For San Antonio, he's averaging 16.3 his entire Spurs career. So I mean, yeah, I guess
which isn't top 10 either.
Yeah, so I guess like you could say LaMarcus Aldridge has more total points in less seasons. But was Kawhi more efficient in terms of shooting? Because then you could just say, well, maybe Aldridge just shot more, so he just scored more. You know,
I would say, I mean, yeah, that's true. It's just, I don't know. I still think Kawhi Leonard was a way better player for their team and is way more worthy of a jersey retirement than, say, LaMarcus Aldridge. It's just like when you look at the numbers, I think it's going to honestly come down to just like what San Antonio wants to do.
Yeah.
And the way he left there, that's tough. Like, I don't know if they're going to be for that or not.
Yeah.
I also don't even know if the fans are going to be for that. Will they be forgiving at that point? I don't know.
Like Ray Allen.
It really
But
is
yeah.
a Ray Allen situation.
Yeah.
Like the way he left there and just the whole situation, how it unfolded. I feel like it was kind of borderline to begin with. If he had stayed there and played a couple more seasons, maybe possibly won another championship, then it's an obvious yes. But the way he left there and everything, like if it happened tomorrow, I would say no.
Yeah, I think that's where I'd be going with that is the longevity. I mean, was he really? I mean, how many seasons? 6 seasons. So
Yeah.
it's like, was he there long enough to be an image of a Spurs basketball? And I think it's hard because he is only 28, and I don't know if I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer yet. I mean, so I think when we get to later in his career, and if he ends up getting into the Hall of Fame, I think maybe we can look back and have a better informed discussion about it, you know?
Well, here's the thing, because the next team he plays for, Toronto, right? 1 season, only plays 60 games, wins a championship. Total points put up 1,500. Again, he's only played 60 games, so like these stats are not crazy. I mean, if you look at his per game numbers, they're pretty good. So 26 points per game.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, it's almost 2 steals, 7 rebounds. So, and his efficiency, dude, shooting nearly 50% from the field, 37% from 3.
Yeah, the 3 is incredible.
It's just off the charts. Takes a team that I don't think they were the favorite going in. I really don't.
No, I don't believe they were.
I really don't even know who my favorite was at the beginning of the season. I guess I probably would have had the Celtics, but they had
I think that's what I
turn of
had.
events. But then the Bucks were looking pretty good going in. So they were never my favorite to get to the finals, let alone win them. But he delivers Toronto their first championship, wins finals MVP again, makes another All-Star game. This is the strangest thing because it'd be so hypocritical, right? To say no to San Antonio, but my heart wants to now say yes to Toronto doing it. So I'll let you jump in.
Yeah, I guess I'm on the same wavelength with that, because I'll say this: I don't know where that team finishes without him. I think because it is the East, they're probably still in the playoffs. I don't think they get past the second round, let alone win. I mean, I guess you could debate, Golden State was hurt, but yeah, I mean, he absolutely had probably the biggest impact on that team. But the whole team was compiled and was really good as a unit, and they were deep. I guess in terms of impact that he had in 1 season, it's pretty astonishing. And to look at the numbers, I mean, he's been a consistent player his entire career. And then, of course, what he gives you on defense. So, I mean, there's no debating how talented and how good he is. So I guess in terms of just 1 year of impact, it's pretty special. And I guess it would be hypocritical to see him be in San Antonio for 6 seasons, and then you just give him this Toronto just 1 season, and then he's out. It's like, I don't know. I don't know how. See, so this kind of leads to my point where I don't know how you feel if you're somebody that's been on that Toronto team for a while, trying to build up that championship, and like have had maybe not as big of an impact, but you've been there through down years, such as Kyle Lowry, which I guess they didn't really have down. Okay, so they've always like finished as like a top 2 seed. They just get bounced in the first round. So like to Toronto fans, it's like those are all down years because they, So I guess like to somebody like him, or maybe even Siakam, which I guess he's only been there for a few years. So I guess if Kyle Lowry looks up in the rafters and he sees, wow, Kawhi is here for 1 year, and he gets something that symbolizes him, and you start to get that separation from what we did as a team, and now he's getting idolized just for him. It kind of turns into an I thing instead of like a team thing. So I don't know. I guess you could feel some sort of way if you're Lowry or other players on that team. I don't know. I don't think I'd give him that, but it's hard not to. I think I'd rather give him that than the San Antonio, just because of the impact in short term. But again, there's complications on both sides there. So yeah. I don't know.
I mean, I think his numbers should be retired by Toronto. And
Yeah.
you know what? I think it should be retired by San Antonio. I just don't, realistically, I don't know if that's going to happen after the way he left.
I think it's definitely more.
I feel like Toronto's more likely to do something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, we didn't really touch on what they could do. Honestly, dude, building statues is probably like the coolest alternative to retiring jerseys, like putting them in the rafters. So I would say either one would be cool, especially in Toronto, because they always have the
that'd be
people
really cool.
outside. Like you slowly like start building statues of people outside that arena, and like people are standing there like during the playoffs, and you have like these statues surrounding that area somehow. That'd be sick. So
I like that idea though.
I think Vince Carter's going to get something of some crazy dunk he did. Kawhi, if they do like his shot somehow over Embiid.
Oh man, I didn't want to think about that.
I mean, that shot's got to be like the takeaway from that whole playoff run.
Yeah, I mean, just on that alone, I say give him the statue.
So the next one I had was KD. I'll quickly go Thunder just so we could touch on it, but I think it's a no-brainer. It's going to be retired by them.
Yeah.
All right, so we're not even going to talk about that. The one that might be controversial is Golden State. So he spent 3 seasons with Golden State, won 2 championships, 2 Finals MVPs. Had crazy numbers during that time. Let me pull them up.
He 26 points a game, 7 boards, 5 assists, and 38% from deep.
Over 2,000 points per season at that point, right?
52% field goal. Yeah, just incredible as always.
Okay, so he was just under for 2 seasons. Then that last season there, he had over 2,000. But yeah, so he put up 5,000 points altogether for this team, which is pretty crazy given he only had 3 years to do it.
Yeah. What happens when you're the best scorer in NBA history?
So I'm gonna go with a yes on this one. I don't even think it's weird because I know some people are like, oh, you left them and this and that, but dude, he was just so dominant through that whole run. Like I think no matter what team he was on, he was gonna get a championship, whether he stayed with the Thunder or left. Personally, I think the Warriors offense suited him so much better.
Yeah.
It made his life way easier. Like even if you just look at his efficiency, dude, way up from Thunder. Like he had a couple seasons with the Thunder where he's shooting 50, 51%, hovering around 50%. And he gets to Golden State and it's like we got 53, 51, 52.
Yeah.
And it's weird because he's shooting just as many threes before. Like nothing changed. He literally just was inserted into this offense, and I think it just worked better for him in terms of like not having as much of a scoring load.
I think it was better because Russell Westbrook wasn't on the team.
Yeah, I mean pretty much.
I think because I think he was probably put in more ISO attempts in OKC, having to create. And I think when you're on a team like Golden State where you have Curry and Clay and you just have all these stretch shooters, I just think he was set up for better looks. So the attempts probably stayed the same. It's just in Golden State, the looks were better. And that's probably why you saw the better shooting.
Well, dude, he went from averaging about 19 shots per game with the Thunder throughout his career down to 17 in those 3 seasons. So same efficiency, actually improved efficiency on obviously less shots, which makes sense. And like you said, it's just playing with those guys, just what a world of difference for him.
Yeah, just better quality looks, better offensive system for him. So yeah. So yeah, I think they will end up retiring it, and I could agree with it in this case, just because of how dominant they were in those 3 seasons. And I mean, you could debate they have a 3rd championship. They're not banged up. I mean, Toronto was scary, but yeah, that's what I mean. So, 3 for 3. Everyone wants to talk about, Jordan being
I watched it
100%.
flash before their eyes in 12 minutes.
Yeah. So yeah, I could definitely see them doing it. It's kind of weird because it's again just a 3-year sample. But I mean, when you talk about the Warriors dynasty, I don't know. It's just incredible what they were able to achieve and just the team they assembled. So I definitely see the case for OKC. I mean, I don't think it's a doubt. Just him being drafted by Seattle, who I wish was still there, but just the history that he's had there. Again, I guess the departure was not liked, and he was called a snake, still called a snake to this day. But I guess you have some flares there, but I just think he's just too good to let something like that get in the way of it. So OKC, no doubt, and Golden State, definitely justifiable.
People were still mad that he left, and it's like, it's weird. So I guess if you are a Thunder fan, you might not be able to forgive him for that. Mm-hmm. Especially given that, personally, I think if he stayed with OKC, they would have. This Golden State team does not make it to 5 straight finals if he stays in Oklahoma City. They get them one of those years. I don't know if they win a championship, but the way he was playing, honestly, there's just, I don't know. I don't know how LeBron would have stopped him. But it really is interesting. So I'm going to say yeah on them doing something. Now they're at Chase, or what is it, the Chase Arena? Chase Bank Arena? I don't know what it's called now. Again, probably a statue would be cool.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, the Hall of Fame thing is really cool, but I think it's hard to do that unless you have the plans set up to make a Hall of Fame, like, little branch or portion somewhere. Whereas building, like, a small statues, that doesn't take much.
No.
In the statue, you can catch a glimpse. I mean, I guess you could do that photos and, like, the Hall of Fame thing, but, like, you could catch a glimpse of something he did. My thing for that would probably be his shot over LeBron. Pick your year.
Yeah. Pick your year. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I think I guess there was 2 or more, but definitely the one at Cleveland from half court.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he did it in the same spot.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever one there was one where he was way more like, yeah.
Whichever one had the better stare down. Yeah, we'll go with that one.
Yeah. All right. So.
Yeah.
He gets a yes from us. The next one's real interesting.
Yeah,
I'm gonna with this one.
I'm gonna let you go into this because I wasn't, when he was drafted in the first few years, I wasn't like really watching basketball and analyzing as much as I am now. So I don't know too much. So I'll let you.
I put this one on here because, again, bias, and I've heard people talk about this. So like, it fits this topic perfect. So Brook Lopez, should his number be retired by the Nets? So, I think he played like 11 seasons for them. I could be wrong about that. No, definitely not 11. What was it, like 8? I don't even know off the top of my head.
Let's see.
I want to say
08 to 16, yeah.
Okay.
8 seasons.
Yeah, so he played 8 seasons with Brooklyn/New Jersey. During that time, he became the Nets' all-time leading scorer. I believe he's the Nets' all-time leader in blocks.
Sounds like he would be.
I'll pull these up. So I'm not making up numbers because I know he's not all-time in rebounds. Yeah, so he's 3rd all-time in rebounds. He is 1st all-time in blocks, right? Okay, and 1st all-time in points. Spent 8 seasons there. He makes 1 All-Star team. Just only 1. Which is a little bit shocking, given his numbers in 2 seasons where they make the playoffs. But one of those seasons he's hurt. But they only make the playoffs 3 times with Brook Lopez on their team. plays a total of, what is this? 487 games for them. Oh, no, I'm missing a season on this
562.
Yeah, so 527.
Okay, yeah.
So given his numbers, I'll read some like good seasons too. So he had 20 points per game. The year he got hurt, was averaging only 6 rebounds. He was like an abysmal rebounder. The year he made the All-Star, 19 points per game, 7 rebounds per game. During this time too, during these like early years from like, I want to say like 2011 till like 2014, I think he was the best post player in the league. Easy. Maybe just even offensive center overall. Like really efficient numbers considering he's taken long jump shots a lot and just had like an awesome post fade, awesome like little mid-range floater he'd shoot. It wasn't even mid-range sometimes, like from the free throw line. But yeah, so
yeah,
he played really well for the team, but the team never performed well. They made the playoffs, like I said, 3 times. One of those seasons was on a losing record. Given how bad the East is, you get in. They never made it. They made it out of the first round once. Just overall, like, honestly, kind of a loser. So, but leads the team in all-time points, blocks. So, like, he's been there long enough to establish himself as, like, one of the best players we've ever had in a Nets jersey, yet never achieved anything worth, like team achievements. So, I'll let you go based on what I told you. But
I think you could give it to him just because of his longevity and, like you said, he's established himself as a face of New Jersey, Brooklyn basketball, and again the numbers speak for itself. He's always been a good player in terms of percentages, and of course has improved on rebounding. Well, I guess he has dipped off a little bit, but yeah, I mean he's just improved as a better player overall. And I would definitely give you that from like 11 to like 15. He was one of the best, or even the best offensive center, because I don't even remember any centers at the time that were scoring.
Boogie.
Yeah, so it's just like no one else was really
80
doing.
If you want to count him as a center.
Yeah, so no one was really doing what he was doing. So yeah, I mean it just sucks. He was just compiled with a team that could never get to the promised land, but I don't think that should take away from what he was able to do, because again it's a team sport. You can only do so much. So I mean I would give it to him for that alone. So
yeah. The other weird thing about this now is Kyrie is wearing number 11, and even though he only played 20 games this season, if he gets healthy, he like basically just hit his prime. He's gonna be 28, so he's got at least 3 to 4 years before he sees any kind of real drop off. And he's a pretty good shooting guard, so I have a feeling he'll make it a while. So Kyrie, the way he was scoring this year, is gonna quickly pass him by in totals for points. Like no question about it. Like if Kyrie ends up being here for 5-6 years, this Lopez scoring 10,000 points is going to be nothing.
Yeah.
And KD, honestly, I don't know if he'll catch Lopez, depending on how many seasons he has left in him. He is 30, and he's coming off the Achilles. But if he's still averaging 25 points per game for like 2-3 more seasons, and then starts to go down to like 20 for like 3 to 4 if he stays, he's also going to be right there in that 10,000 point mark. So, to me, I don't think this is weird. So I don't think they're going to retire Lopez's number. Like if Lopez was out of the league like the day of Kyrie signing there, like, yeah, no, we're going to retire his number, Kyrie could have just been like, all right, yeah, I'll take a different one. Although I don't think they would have told him that anyway, for the reasons I just stated.
Yeah.
But I don't think overall they're going to retire his number, even though his accomplishments. I will say, though, if they did something different, say whatever, like the last two things we're talking about, like a statue or like a like some kind of Hall of Fame section, he gets in easy.
Yeah, it's weird. I can see like plaques and something like a Hall of Fame section, and when you think about like the other players that we talked about, like KD and like Kawhi, and you think about Brook Lopez, I would say Brook Lopez isn't as known as far as the rest of the league is concerned. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like the statue, I guess I would be iffy about. I guess like two Nets fans, it's kind of like a no-brainer, and like it's easy. But I guess in terms of like I don't know. I guess like because it is in there.
Well,
you know.
Let me put it this way: if they did start a new thing, he's not the first person to get something either.
Right.
So he doesn't get his number retired, but he's not the first person to be in whatever this is, their Hall of Fame or their statues. Like, first person who gets a statue is Dr. J.
Right.
Like, without a doubt in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Next guy's got to be Jason Kidd. Easy.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, you got a ton of more people that you got to pick from before you even get down to Lopez. And again, that might put him back even further because by the time you're done doing all these things, if teams decide to theoretically, in our hypothetical world, do this, there's a chance that by the time they even get to making something for him, they're going to make something for Kyrie and KD before they do him. So, yeah.
I guess it's kind of weird because what would they ask? Like, let's say tomorrow they said, all right, we're going to retire Brooks' number. I guess they go to Kyrie and they say, well, we need you to change your number. So I guess like, yeah.
So
that's what I mean.
It's just like baseball. So like, the most famous example, I guess, is in baseball. So, Jackie Robinson's number is retired, number 42, and Mariano Rivera and a couple others were still wearing it. Mariano Rivera played for way longer than a lot of the other players who had 42.
Yes.
So, and he was never traded, so he got to wear 42 like years and years after that was all said and done. If you got traded, you're SOL. You're not gonna pick up the number for the next team you play for. Like, as long as you're still on the team wearing that number that you started with, like, then you kept it.
And that's fair. I do like that.
So I'm pretty sure like all these teams probably do the same thing. A lot of the teams, once they have a guy that leaves and they know is like that number is going to be retired, they don't let somebody wear it unless there's some kind of I don't know, retaliation you could say towards that person. So like KD leaving, they let someone wear number 35.
That's where it gets
weird
iffy.
Because like I feel like that's automatic retirement number. So also, just to put it in perspective, like how bad the Nets have been, Buck Williams has his number retired by them right now. He played a total of 7 seasons with the Nets. Made 3 All-Star appearances. I should probably look into the Nets record during this time too. But like he only averaged 16 points per game and 12 rebounds per game. And he was the Nets all-time leading scorer at 10,440 points until Brook Lopez came along, which is extremely low.
That's interesting.
Right. So, yeah.
I guess like also to touch on like if somebody was already wearing it, what do you think about if a college player is wearing a number and they get drafted by a team that has a number that's retired? It's like, do you force them to change?
I think the system that's in place now is perfect. Like, you have to ask that player if they're okay with it. Now the problem is the league hasn't been around long enough for this to happen, really. So like if the Lakers, they have number 13 retired, you couldn't ask Will Chamberlain. That's probably the most recent example, all the way up until Kobe, which is like a tragedy because, again, the league has only been around so long. Players from the league, like major all-time greats, hadn't. I honestly can't even name two off the top of my head other than Kobe and Wilt that have died. Like guys that have won MVPs and championships and like done amazing things. So to me, like that becomes, unfortunately, like you gotta say, like people do die. So like that will become a problem at some point where you can't ask that player for their blessing unless it's like a family decision, I guess.
Yeah.
In that case, then it becomes so absurd that like they would have to write in their will, like, yeah, it's like make sure they pick a good person. Like, I don't know.
It's
like,
just
you know
such.
What I mean? So like it's weird.
It's such a rare occurrence that I guess it's just not even maybe not worth a discussion about. But yeah, it's just it doesn't really happen, and when it does, it's just. I mean, that's even more of a reason, I guess, not to wear it. You know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like that. Yeah, I can't think of any other players. I guess Wes Unseld, but about it.
Do you have any? Like, do you mean that that's for your players that are retired?
No.
Like, you don't have any other numbers that you think about?
I mean, we could talk about Allen Iverson.
Allen Iverson is. Well, that becomes bias, right? Also, quickly, I just wanted to point out Buck Williams, number retired by the Nets, made 5 playoff appearances out of his 8 seasons? Do I have that right? 8 seasons he played with them. No. I'm confused. Yeah, this is 8 seasons. All right, so I was wrong about that. What's funny is the years they made the playoffs are all winning records except for one. So, again, kind of a Brook Lopez situation. That's why I considered that a possibility. I just wanted you to know where I got this idea from.
So you don't
like, our team's been shit. So it's like a guy performing well and shit is awesome.
Yeah. I guess it's easier to stand out also. but I mean, it's not like he was the best of the shit. Like he was actually good. So
yeah.
So you don't think they're going to, but you think they should.
I think they. Again, it depends on what happens with Kyrie. You don't retire number 11 for Brook Lopez if Kyrie wins you a championship and scores the same amount of points in his time here. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's just at that point, who is Brook Lopez? Who's that guy that wore number 11? I don't know.
I mean, I guess you could say
we won one playoff series with, and he wasn't even healthy for it. Did he even play?
I guess you could say, like, if Kyrie ends up doing that, I guess you can make the case that Kyrie's team was better composed. So, like, he had the help. I mean, I don't know.
I can't say Brook Lopez never had help either, though.
Yeah.
Like, if he's the guy, he's had good players around him. I mean, not every year, granted, but like there was a year where like Devin Harris and Vince Carter were on the team, with him, and like that's a pretty solid 3. Vince Carter's a little bit older, but he's still averaging almost 20 points per game.
I like the first few years with Darren Williams, and then it just fell off.
Yeah, Darren Williams, Joe Johnson, that's also solid grouping.
So, yeah, he's had the players for sure, but yeah,
Brook Lopez. There's no point in talking about Brook Lopez.
It's like, who's this guy? I just said AI. So they retired his number 7 years ago, and I mean, I guess it's weird being a Sixers fan and not really thinking that he's the shit. But I mean, he just has such a legacy with Philly. So I mean, I guess there's a case to be made there. But I still believe he was a slightly overrated player. So I mean, he's just such a brand, a symbol of Philly at this point. I guess that's the driving force in my mind.
What makes you think he's overrated?
It'd be just, like, you look at his like percentages, and like he just wasn't a good shooter. Like they talk about him scoring a ton and all these other things, but he didn't do it efficiently. It's kind of on the same thinking that I have with James Harden. Like he's a talented scorer and all, but you see those games where he does shoot terribly, and for I don't even have it pulled up, but like for this season, he's not shooting. I mean, he's shooting okay, but it's like I'd rather have someone that is shooting efficiently and scores less than someone who jacks up 30 shot attempts and can give me like 40 points.
I think the problem is you've never watched. I mean, I'm not trying to trash on it because I never watched him really either. Because again, it's before I really watched basketball. Like whenever I could.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I
but like if you go back and watch early NBA games from the early 2000s, it's probably the worst basketball you can watch, dude.
Yeah,
it's god awful. There is no scoring whatsoever. Teams' offenses are just garbage. Honestly, like that's why the triangle works so good with Kobe and Shaq, because like I'm not sure any other teams really had it figured out. Guys weren't really shooting threes. Like the goal was if you can dribble in 2 steps and take a 2. And like to me, like it does not make sense. Watching it then, it doesn't make sense. Watching it now doesn't make sense. Why take 2 dribbles in and take a 2?
Yeah.
When you can have 2 feet further out and take 3 points. Like you're gonna miss or make it either way. Like that 2 feet is not the difference between making that shot. Taking a 15-footer is a little bit different. But like if you watch guys that played then, like they were all pretty inefficient. Like, it's just like your teams would just pack the paint. They weren't really guarding you out by the 3-point line. Because they just knew you weren't going to shoot it. Like you played through the center still. There's teams that would still dump it in and their center was trash. I'm sure if you went back and looked at some kind of Allen Iverson game, like a full game, there's probably games where Dikembe Mutombo was getting post-ups.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding.
I actually think he did in the finals a few times, but yeah.
Dude, you could watch, and again, since I'm a big Nets fan, I watch a lot of old games, but like if you watch the Nets finals games, the amount of times when they dump it into Todd McCullough to go one-on-one with Shaq is fucking unbelievable. And he shoots it. He goes for these post hooks. Like, it's wild. So, and it's not just the Nets that were doing it. It was like every team was like dumping inside. And it's just so honestly disgusting, like the brand of basketball that was being played. And Allen Iverson might have been the best out of that garbage time. So,
yeah.
I mean, Kobe also kind of did it, but he took a lot from MJ's games, so at least it wasn't all.
There was something there,
like trash. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I agree with that. The style of play was definitely different. You know, I just see his number. I'll tell you what, I give him defense for sure, especially at that size. He was able to accumulate a lot of steals, and he was a decent defender. But I mean, I just
don't think a 6-foot dude whose specialty is shooting mid ranges and getting layups at the basket is. I don't know. You can't expect that guy to shoot efficiently, at least in the early 2000s. Yeah. Honestly, now, if he played now, he would probably shoot way better.
I think he would.
And he'd be so much more successful because there'd be way more spacing for him. While people say the mid-range game is dead, if you watch, there's certain guys in the league that take advantage of that. Teams want you to take that mid-range.
Like Brandon Ingram.
And what's funny is they leave it open. Yeah. He would just be taking wide open shots all game long. I don't know why dudes stray away from the mid range, because like to me, a 15-footer is a very easy shot. It's like, why drive it into a dude right underneath the basket when you can? It's probably easier for you to just take that mid range shot than to try to go one-on-one against a guy underneath the hoop. Mm-hmm. Although you'd be more prone to getting a foul call now, also, than back then. So. That might also play into Allen Iverson's favor, getting to the free throw line more.
Yeah. I think he'd have.
Was he a good 3-point shooter? I've seen him jack up shots, but I don't think he was that great.
For his Sixers career, 31%. So.
Yeah, that's probably not a guy I would want to increase the amount of 3-point shots for.
No. Field goal percentage was 42. But yeah, I mean, I think.
But his handle is so tight. If he's blown by you getting a mid range every time, like wide open
I
because
like that
guys
a
have
lot,
to
yeah.
spread the floor. There is a possibility dudes kind of back off when he's doing that, and now he has better 3-point shots. I really think if he played now, he'd have.
I think he would be better. Yeah, I think the common argument that I hear is that it didn't really have any supporting cast, which I guess you could make the case for. And I mean, they eventually did get him help, like we talked about in the previous episode, and they still failed. But I think if he had more shooters around him, like you said, that there'd be more success there. And even if he decreased his shot attempts, which there were guys on this team that could shoot, and if he just gave it to them at times to take some of that shot load off, I mean, I think his efficiencies would have been better. I just think he was jacking up and a lot of bad shots.
Larry Brown made an interesting decision making him a point guard when his natural position was a shooting guard. So just like playing off ball and being a scorer. I don't think he was ever meant to set up other players and look for passes.
Yeah.
So if you put him alongside somebody who's going to create plays for him and make his life easier, like you're saying, also probably would have been beneficial rather than playing out of position.
You definitely see that because of the turnovers. I mean, I don't know if he was below 3 ever in his career.
It's not
I
to
guess
say
late in his career. But
guys that play off ball can't pass or make plays. It's just if it's not their natural thing to do, it's hard to force them to do it. That's why James Harden being moved to point guard position actually worked, because he was again, it's kind of because of the time he's playing in, but like dudes had to help off, and he's a willing passer and makes the right play. So I know his turnovers are a little bit high, but it's not. He was still averaging like almost 12 assists per game, I think, the one season.
11.2. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I agree.
We almost got. We're basically at an hour just on this alone.
I'm surprised.
I mean, we could quickly go into the bubble thing, because I don't even think we're going to talk long about that.
Okay.
So the bad teams, the shitty teams in the league, the 8 of them are out? Yeah, the 8 of them that are out, they want to make their own bubble and play and broadcast it, which would mean, I guess, like 2 games each night from each one of those teams. What's thoughts?
So anyone who plays fantasy, especially fantasy football, this is already something in here, and it's called the Toilet Bowl, which is for the shittiest of the shit. So essentially, that's what this is. And my questions are, who is watching shit, and which players will even want to play to compete to be the shittiest? So that's all I have to say.
I think there are some teams people would like to watch. I think the Hawks, probably one of them. The Wolves are another. And I had another one. I was saying the Warriors, but their good players aren't going to play.
Yeah,
like that's literally the best out of that group. But they're not playing for. What are they even playing for?
That's what I'm saying is what are any of them? I guess
you get an extra bit of money off your paycheck, because like don't they only get like a small percentage of the revenue right now from the teams that are going to play?
I think so.
Yeah,
I didn't know they were
getting
getting any
more money.
But yeah, I mean, you brought this up a few days ago. It's kind of good exhibition, and I think especially for this year, it's just such an extreme case. Is just getting out there and running around with your teammates, maybe building chemistry for next season, and especially which we don't know how this offseason is going to play out, because it may just be shortened, and when the next season starts. So I guess it would be nice to get back out there, get in shape, get to know your new teammates for newly acquired players such as D'Lo and Cat in Minnesota. So I can see that it being a good place to do those.
It's just funny because if they sent the Warriors an invite to this thing, like, yeah, we're making our own league, the Warriors would be like, fuck out of here. We ain't playing in that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
We'll send our D-League team down. How about that?
We'll send Andrew Wiggins. But yeah.
Dude, I honestly think he's going to have success with that team.
I think he could, unless they trade him for Giannis. That's going to be the big blockbuster. Unless the Knicks get him.
That.
You know?
Can that really happen? I guess I can. Their money almost matches.
They also said they would trade Clay for him. I did hear that too.
Wow.
I don't know
if I'd do that.
I don't know why.
I'd rather keep Wiggins and Clay.
Listen, Milwaukee had the chance to draft Wiggins. And
maybe trade Draymond.
Yeah.
And Wiggins for him.
I don't know if Milwaukee's going to... Like I said, they had the opportunity to draft Wiggins, and they took Jabari Parker instead.
I mean, it depends. It depends on what Giannis wants to do. He could tie their arm behind their back and just say, yeah, I'm not staying. And then it's like, you just got to take what you get. And, I mean, if the best package for them is from the Warriors, of Draymond and Wiggins, and, like, maybe the first-round pick from this year.
Yeah, I don't know how you say...
Like, I don't know.
I don't know, though, man. Because Wiggins...
Honestly, dude, James Wiseman, Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins. I mean, Wiseman's obviously the prize in that package, but...
yeah.
I mean, it's not an awful pull. Especially if you get another pick out of it, too.
Wiggins would definitely be better because he would be in a Milwaukee offense that already has surrounding shooters. And then, of course, Wiseman and Draymond. I mean, that...
Well, what's funny is the Wiggins trade is set up so that they have... I think it's for their team currently constructed.
Yeah. Like,
if they wanted to make a better... If their goal was to have an awesome trade package, they would have kept D'Lo. Because a D'Lo, Draymond, Wiseman package would have been way more enticing to me than a Wiggins package. Because I still think D'Lo is a better player. But, again, I think Wiggins, assuming they keep him, will actually play way better with this team. Especially with whoever the number one pick is that they add, assuming they get the number one pick. But
yeah,
even if they add like a top 5 pick, thing is, I feel like they need their center. Like if they get Wiseman as their center,
yeah, they're gonna be set.
I think his life is just gonna be so much easier in terms of making the transition, just because the system they're playing in, and the players he's playing with. And then that also goes for Wiggins. He's not going to be relied on to be shooting like a crazy good percentage. Like he can honestly just slash and play defense, which his defense is suspect, but he has the body and the ability to play good defense. So
yeah.
I would hope that they can talk him into playing defense once in a while.
I think that is what hurt him and why he's looked down upon as not a good player, is just because what they asked him to do in Minnesota. So
I mean, if he could fill like the role that Harrison Barnes had a couple years ago, which, I mean, honestly, like I feel like his game is pretty similar, but I could be wrong. I never really watched Minnesota.
Yeah, if he could develop shooting like that, yeah,
he did have the one really good shooting season. Wasn't he close to like 40%? I think that was last year or 2 years ago. Whenever he played with Jimmy, I think he had a really good shooting season.
The guy that called him out, told him stop being shit. They traded him.
I could be wrong. I know he had a pretty high 3-point percentage to one season, but overall his field goal percentage was pretty garbage.
Yeah.
And I know the one game that I watched him play this year against the Nets, he took a ton of shots, and it was weird because like a lot of them, like the longer shots were just way off, dude. Just a massive break. Like hitting side backboard, like really bad. But his finishing around the hoop is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So like, if that's what Golden State needs of him, like, it's honestly perfect.
Yeah, he's just
because they already have a ton of shooting.
Just a much better system and players you can even learn from. So better coaching. I mean, it's all there. But I just don't know if Giannis is in their future. I mean, that's just annoying if it does happen. Because this Golden State team just keeps grabbing these players. And it's just when will it just end? You know? We had our chance this season, but you know.
They're like the new Lakers.
Yeah.
Honestly, like the new arena is pretty cool. The areas I think is pretty cool. It's warm not all year, but I don't know. I think it's going to turn into a situation where like they can recruit year in, year out as long as they have like stability. Which with Curry and Clay, like their game should age fine, so they're going to be there for a while. It seems like they have the perfect coach. he's literally just plugging people in, and they play pretty good for him. So I don't think he's going anywhere. It's honestly like establishing and building a culture, which now you've had KD come and go. You had Harrison Barnes. Honestly, he's a pretty good example. He was good with that team, and then got a lot of money. It has not. I don't even think he starts for the Kings. Oh no, he does. Because they benched what's his face instead, Buddy Hield.
Yeah,
but he's, I don't know.
It's weird.
He's basically a rotation player because I don't think they know who to start on that team. They just got so many each position.
Because they traded Ariza too. I believe he was starting. So yeah. But
I think anybody that ends up in that system's fine.
I do like the point. I mean, I guess this is a different topic, but I do like the point that you mentioned like months ago of where Giannis is in a place that he calls home. I guess in terms of that trade happening, I don't see it likely. Yeah,
like he's from Greece, right? I'm getting that right. Yeah, he's from Greece.
Yes.
So when he moved to America, like once he got drafted and moved here to play for the NBA, like he's been with the Bucks since he was drafted, which is, we're coming up on 7 years now, I think, which would be next season, right? 7 years. So 7 years that he's been in America, like Milwaukee is home to him. I'm not going to say he's never been anywhere else. He has the money to go travel and stuff and like see what things are like. But he might be the most comfortable there out of, like visiting New York or wherever, Golden State or whoever's on his list of people that's going to try to entice him.
Yeah.
So
he could prefer the warmer weather. Who knows?
Yeah, and I mean, New York has a good market. So, like, it's not to say it'll never happen. You could lure him away, but I'm just... Again, they always talk about players wanting to go play for their home team or whatever, which has been, like, a story recently, but, like, that is his home team. So, I think it'd probably be more likely if he was able to win a championship. I think he's probably tired of the snow.
Yeah.
So...
I also,
if he won a championship, he wouldn't feel like he's letting anybody down.
Yeah. I think it's going to depend on how far they get this season. Because he may just say, this just isn't working. And I think he was quoted saying something that to that degree before the season, that I haven't really made a decision, and it's really going to depend on the success of the team and how I feel at the time. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too. It definitely depends on what happens in the next couple seasons, but as of right now, I don't think he's really going anywhere.
No. You got to think, like, how long have they tried with that team right there? I mean, they had last year. And even, I guess, the year... Well, they didn't have Brook the year before, did they?
No.
And Chris Middleton's really bloomed into a all-star talent, so... I guess you could say it's going on maybe 3 seasons now, and it's just... And when does Milwaukee decide to...
on how much Milwaukee shows commitment to him.
Yeah.
Like, if they see that this is not working after this season, and they make the moves to try to create something new, again, they better work with him, too, and run things by him. Because if they trade a guy, like, if they trade Chris Middleton without letting him know, like, we're going to trade him,
yeah,
that could easily upset him. And if things go off the rails from there, like, they're not performing as well, you might as well say goodbye to him.
Yeah, I think that alone, he'd be gone.
So, like, they gotta make sure they handle things carefully.
Yeah.
All right.
I agree.
I think that's enough for today.
Yeah.
Been on this for like an hour. Talked about Brook Lopez a little too much, but that's all right.
We have a lot. I mean, you have a lot of Nets stories going about, especially last episode too.
It's bad when it gets brought up. I can honestly do like a Nets podcast, but that's I don't know. That's for people who like to cry. So Frank, where can they find you?
They can find me at Swainatra, Swaenatra. I feel like I spell that out every time. Hopefully you guys know how to spell it by now. On Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
And you can find me, Mackie Ireland, on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you do your social media. You can also find Rim Grazers on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, again, wherever you do your social media, you can visit our website as well. You'd also catch Rim Grazers on Spotify, Anchor. We're still trying to get on iTunes, have not successfully done that yet, but there are plenty of other places to catch us. There's also YouTube, SoundCloud, the list goes on and on. So, yeah, thank you guys for listening.